Hey folks, you know, I know that today, the past 24 hours have been just a very talked about time for WWE. I mean, a lot has been going on for them news-wise. I mean, tonight they've had to cancel Raw because of the blizzard that's in the East. They've had to cancel tomorrow night's SmackDown to at least Thursday. So just a lot of stuff, just a huge newsworthy moment in time for the WWE. And to cap it all off, you still have people pissed off at the fact that the Rumble basically was not the way they wanted. Didn't go the way they wanted. You top that off with the tweet that Daniel Bryan put out, and a lot of people get a little worried. Even though pretty much the tweet that Daniel Bryan put out wasn't saying he's leaving. No, it's just his way of thanking the fans, because I think Daniel had a chance to talk to somebody backstage. I'm assuming Triple H. He had time to think about it and realize, hey, I've had my chance. I've had my time in the sun. Maybe they didn't want me to get injured any further, or they didn't want to really take a chance, especially with me coming off such a near career-ending injury. That we'll just see what happens. We'll just let it be and see what happens. And if lightning strikes twice and he has to be inserted into the main event again, just like he was last year at Mania, then so be it. But the most talked about situation is the fans themselves. The fans' reaction. Now, I've talked about this. The Lex Man's talked about this. I know Shreg Daddy off O2R Central is going to talk about this. Solomonster's talked about this. Everybody has talked about the fans' reaction. And and I've talked about this too numerous times. And I know other people have probably mentioned this. But if you're the WWE and you want to put on a big event, but you want to make sure that the crowd that you're in front of is kind of neutral and very understanding, then why would you go and take one of your most premier events, one of your big four events? Why would you take it and pretty much put it in one of the, and I know people hate this term at times, but one of the top, if not the top, wrestling smart mark cities, not just in the United States, but the world? Why would you do that? Because what? Because they're a very passionate wrestling town? Fine, that's understandable. But you see, I think what the people, those that book the shows in the venues and stuff have to understand is when you're booking an event, you need to make sure that the place you're booking it at is going to be sort of neutral. In other words, won't poon any kind of decision you make so badly. And again, I don't know who's in charge of booking the venues and all that, but if I was WWE, I would have looked at the fact that, okay, if I want to go with Roman Reigns and I'm going to win the Rumble, then maybe I would switch it up a little bit. You have Fastlane in Memphis next month. But if I was WWE, I would have said, you know what? There's a potential that Roman could get booed. We could have a repeat of last year. What do we do? Oh, I know. Let's take the Rumble, put it in Memphis, and let's take Fastlane, let's put it in Philly. Makes more sense. Because Fastlane is a new pay-per-view. It's not a big four. It's one of your in-your-house inspired pay-per-views. So the Philly crowd may be passionate, but not as passionate as what they were for the Rumble. You see, to me, it's all about location for WWE, and I think this is something they need to work on in the future. House shows, Raws, SmackDowns, those could all be exceptions. But when it comes to pay-per-views, especially your big four pay-per-views, location is the go is location should be your main priority. If you know you're going to book an event to go a certain way, if you're going to book something like the Rumble to go a certain way, you need to understand, you need to think, where can we go that's not going to, end up hooning and booing and crapping all over this pay-per-view, and thus crapping all over the potential winner, even though he's not really at fault. See, it's all about location. It's all about location. One could probably understand if, let's say, Triple H came out, or Stephanie came out, maybe with somebody that called up from NXT, coming out and costing Daniel Bryan the match. Maybe they could understand that. Maybe they could understand that. But, or even Sheamus coming out and doing it. But still, when it makes no sense and you treat it like it's an afterthought, you treat it like, yeah, it's a big deal in a sense, but then you're like, okay, moving on. People are not going to be too happy. And again, it's about location. It's about location and how you plan it. So next year, if I'm the WWE and I'm going to have the Royal Rumble, and I have my potential winner already probably in mind, maybe someone from NXT, maybe not, I make sure I hold the Royal Rumble in a venue, in a city that's not going to crap all over it. I do that with all my big fours. I know that the only reason they take them to places like Philly and New Jersey and wherever is because these are wrestling towns and they know they can get passionate crowds to reflect off the television. I understand that. I get that. So does everybody else. But what the WWE has to realize right now is they're in an era of wrestling where the wrestling fan wants something that's similar to what they see on the indie circuit, what they see, in a sense, in MMA. They want legit wrestlers. They want legit pure wrestlers headlining those events. They want legit pure pro wrestlers winning certain matches and moving on. That's what they want. They don't want somebody that, yeah, he might be young and he has years ahead of him winning it because of the fact that he's a big muscle-bound dude, and in their minds and in the eyes of many, he's just the next John Cena. No, they don't want that. They want someone that's pure pro wrestling. Someone that if you put the belt on him and say, let's put him in a feud with so-and-so that could also sort of wrestle or kind of perform and put on a good match, maybe we could also finish off the feud with a 60-minute Iron Man match. That's what fans want. And a lot of you could say that the reason fans want that is because of independent wrestling, because of what they see in the MMA world, like UFC and Bellator. And that's why WWE has to look at location, and they have to start realizing that they're in an era right now, in a generation right now, that's smart to the product, and would rather prefer something very similar to what MMA is, and what Ring of Honor and Shikara and Evolve is, the independent style. They want that. They basically we're in an era to where, yeah, they don't mind if it's necessary, if they know there's no other choice, that, yeah, you got to put someone like a Roman Reigns in that spot. They don't mind that. But it's more along the lines that if they have an alternative, in this case a Daniel Bryan to turn to, then you go to that alternative. Because Daniel Bryan is everything they want. He represents that pure pro wrestling style. He represents that indie wrestling style. And with the mixture of martial arts kicks and all that, represents that MMA style. So with WWE, they've got a lot to think about when it comes to booking the venues and how they book them. Because they have to realize by now, we are in an era, in a generation, to where if you go to a place like Philly, New York, WrestleMania is a huge exception because smart marks go there every year. And I don't know where else besides Philly and New York. You know, I can't really say. Maybe the UK, maybe Canada. But the thing is, if you're WWE, you've got to make sure that you plan what events you put in these locations and how you book them. And if you're going to do a big four, then you make sure you book it the right way, the way that the fans will enjoy and won't pone and crap all over the event because of it. Because you're not just putting yourself in a bad light when you don't do things the right way. You're putting everybody involved in a bad light. And that includes your superstars and your divas, or your wrestlers and your knockouts. So, to me, WWE's main problem is booking the right location for the right event, because we're in a generation now where fans would rather have a style that reflects pure pro wrestling, the indie style of wrestling, and MMA. That's what they want, not just in what they see in the ring, but in whoever they feel WWE should get behind or has that potential. And in this case, it's someone like Daniel Bryan. But that's just my opinion on it. You guys let me know if you agree or not. Do you think that's what WWE should do? And that's all I'm going to say. I'll talk to you all later.